From the National Weather Service in Raleigh, it's Nick Petro with your routine Thursday weekly briefing for Central North Carolina. This briefing covers the period today through the 9th of September. And we always like to provide these late week briefings so that folks know sort of what to expect when you're headed into the weekend. And, especially with knowing that a lot of folks, it's a holiday weekend, and certainly we want everybody to be aware of what to watch for here. All right, so let's just jump right into the big weather story for today, and that's the brutal heat. So brutal heat is in store for our area, and for central and eastern North Carolina, a heat advisory is in effect for much of central North Carolina, while an excessive heat warning is in effect for much of eastern North Carolina. Now, just so you know the difference, anytime we expect heat index values to reach 105, that's what triggers a heat advisory. When we expect heat index values to reach 110 or higher, that's what triggers an excessive heat warning. So that's the difference between the two. Now on Friday, we'll see heat index values topping 100 as well, but maybe not quite as brutal as today. Okay, so here are those heat advisory and warnings. You could see the area in orange. That's a heat advisory, and the area in pink or purple, that is an excessive heat warning. All right, so again, that whole area, all of the eastern half of North Carolina needs to exercise heat caution, needs to avoid activities this afternoon that are outdoor activities. If you have to venture out, make sure you drink plenty of water and just stay outside for a few moments and before you seek shelter where it's air conditioning. So anyway, that's the best advice there. In case you're wondering, the green spot in the middle, Johnston County, that's a river flood warning for Smithfield. So fortunately, that has crested and the river is coming down. All right, so switching gears to the tropics. Nana and Omar will pose no threat to North Carolina. Those two systems are, obviously not a concern for us. However, anytime there are tropical cyclones in the Atlantic, there's always a lot of wave energy. And that wave energy oftentimes propagates its way, back towards the East Coast. So that could mean, with an increased threat for rip currents. There's rip currents all the time, even, that's just the natural process of the ocean. So even when there's, not hurricanes and tropical cyclones out there and tropical storms, you can never rule out rip currents at the beach. So, in knowing that we're headed into a holiday weekend and a lot of folks may be headed to the beach, always check the recreation and surf forecasts from our National Weather Service offices at the coast to see if there are any enhanced threats for rip currents, and always swim at beaches where there are lifeguards on duty and always heed their advice. All right. Now, what else is out in the Atlantic? Well, there's a bunch of just areas of disturbed weather. Clearly, the orange and the red areas are the most concerning in terms of what may or may not develop into a tropical cyclone. But the good news is nothing is imminent for central North Carolina. But keep in mind, we are now in the peak of the hurricane season right now. So we're always keeping a watchful eye on the tropics. And obviously, if anything that's out there now looks like it has any chance of headed towards the East Coast, we'll keep you informed of that if that looks like that might be possible. But right now, we're in good shape, nothing imminent. But again, we're in the peak of the season, so we always have to be watchful. All right, shifting gears to the rest of the weather pattern. Of course, heat is the main weather story today and Friday. A cold front will move across our area. Welcome, cold front. Will move across our area late Friday. Most of the time, cold fronts can bring rain, but with this particular front, little or no rain is expected with its passage. You can never rule it out. You can never rule out a stray shower, stray thunderstorm, but for the most part, we're not expecting any widespread rain with the frontal passage late Friday night. Behind that front, we're going to have a nice area of high pressure. So, we're headed toward the fall season. So these areas of high pressure behind fronts will have a little better chance to push a little bit further south, maybe bring a little bit cooler, different air mass. So, so this front is now that we're headed into, we're into September, these fronts are going to be able to push a little bit further south. So slightly cooler and more seasonable weather is in store for central North Carolina for this holiday weekend. Actually, some pretty nice weather here in the middle of the state. So certainly enjoy that for this holiday weekend. But remember, again, I want to reiterate, if you're headed to the beach for this holiday weekend, there could be some thunderstorm activity along the coast because that front's going to stall near the coast. And then there's always sea breeze storms, risk for that every day. So watch out for any lightning. And obviously, I already mentioned the rip currents. And then finally, with a stationary front not too far off the coast and east and southeast flow, we'll have to watch out for rain chances increasing again, even across our area by Tuesday. And that rain chance will last through the middle of the next week. All right, so here in central North Carolina, we're hot today, hot tomorrow. We're dry through the weekend into Monday, and then rain chances increase again for us in the middle of next week, maybe as early as Tuesday. All right. In terms of how much rain we're going to get for the next 7 days, not much. So there you have it. The bulk of the rain's either going to be in the mountains or along the coast. So if you're heading to the mountains too, they'll obviously for this weekend they'll be a little bit better of a chance. Actually, the mountains are looking pretty good. I take that back. Mountains are looking pretty good. So if you have a choice of heading to the beach or heading to the mountains for the holiday weekend, probably the mountains will have the better weather. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, that is. Few showers and storms across the higher terrain today, though. All right, so what about the excessive rain outlook, courtesy of the Weather Prediction Center? And the risk for flash flooding within 25 miles of any point on this map, at least for North Carolina, is less than 5%. So that's what the text in the middle of the map there says. All right, so the severe thunderstorm potential for days 1 through 3, this is courtesy of the Storm Prediction Center. And basically, the severe thunderstorm risk will remain to our north today, and severe storms are not a concern for central North Carolina Friday through the weekend. All right, so that pretty much wraps it up for today's weekly briefing for Thursday heading into the holiday weekend. Brutal heat is the main weather story. And brutal heat is in store for central and eastern North Carolina today. A heat advisory is in effect for much of central North Carolina with heat index values of 104 to 109, and excessive heat warnings in effect for much of eastern North Carolina. 110-degree plus heat index values are possible today. Friday, we'll see heat continuing, maybe a few degrees cooler, heat index value that is, but still topping 100. That's pretty dangerous still. Good news is a cold front will move across our area late Friday, so that'll bring us a cool down, a subtle cool down. Little or no rain is expected with its passage, and slightly cooler, more seasonable weather is in store for central North Carolina for this holiday weekend. And you can see that kind of spelled out in the 5-day at a glance at the bottom. Look at that Saturday high 81 under partly sunny skies. Isn't that going to be delightful? Sunday is going to be delightful too, mostly sunny high 83. So Labor Day a little bit warmer, warming back up into the mid 80s, maybe trying to make a run again at 90. So we'll see. But certainly some nice cooler weather for this weekend. And then, as I mentioned, rain chances will increase again by Tuesday through the middle of next week. Now, in terms of hazards and impacts, obviously, I've said this already a bunch of times, but be mindful of the heat today and Friday. Again, just try to stay indoors and out of the heat, in air-conditioned indoors, I might add, during the peak of the heat each afternoon. If you must be outside, be sure to drink plenty of water, take frequent breaks. If you're headed to the beach for this holiday weekend, there could be some thunderstorm activity along the coast each day. Watch out for lightning and rip currents. And while nothing is imminent in the forecast for central North Carolina, we're always keeping a watchful eye on the tropics, especially now that we are in the peak of the hurricane season. So that is your weekly briefing for your Thursday edition headed into the weekend for central North Carolina.